Because a project usually doesn't start on the day that you create your project file, one of the first things you do after you create the file is to set the start date for the project. That way, project automatically starts tasks on that date unless you tell it otherwise. You can specify other settings for the project, like the calendar it uses to determine working and non-working times, and whether you want to schedule the project from the start date or work backwards from the finish date. Here we have an existing project, and it's showing the default view, which is the Gantt chart in the top and the task form in the details pane. You can see right now all of the tasks in this project are scheduled to start today. The project information dialog box lets you set this project start date, the calendar of working and non-working times, and a few other settings. In Project 2010, you click the Project tab and click Project Information to open the Project Information dialog box. When you set the start date for a project, tasks without start dates or predecessors automatically get the start date that matches the project start date. Project then uses predecessors and task dependencies to calculate the dates for auto-scheduled tasks in your schedule. To set the start date, choose the date in the Start Date field. In this case, say August 2nd. When I click OK, all of the tasks reschedule to the project start date, August 2nd. Going back into the Project Information dialog box, the Schedule From box is set to project start date by default, and you should really leave it that way. Although executives might give you a finish date for a project, it's better to start from a start date to see when the project realistically can finish. If the finish date is too late, you can use several techniques to shorten the duration, like assigning more resources or running tasks simultaneously. If you try to work backwards by scheduling from the finish date, you lose any wiggle room on dates if the project goes awry. The calendar box is set to standard initially. Project's built-in standard calendar uses Monday through Friday as working days and 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with an hour for lunch as the work times. And most of the time, the standard calendar works. If you want to modify your working days and times, you can modify the standard calendar or create your own calendar as you learn in the later movie. But Project also has a night shift calendar and a 24 hours calendar built in. When you have the settings the way you want, click OK. Then you can click File and Save to save the project with those settings. To make sure that you adjust your project settings, you can tell Project to open the Project Information dialog box as soon as you create a new file. Click File and then click Options. And in the Project Options dialog box, click Advanced. In the General section at the top of the screen, turn on the Prompt for Project Info for New Projects checkbox, and then click OK to close the Project Options dialog box. Then, if you click New and create a blank project, the Project Information dialog box opens automatically so you can change your settings. After you set the start date in the calendar, you're ready to work on building your project schedule in earnest. As you start defining your project, the program calculates the finish date and shows that date in the Project Information dialog box. As you learn in a later movie, you also return to the Project Information dialog box once you begin tracking progress to specify the current status date for your project.